Breaking news now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is giving remarks along with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. The U.S. and Ukraine have apparently reached a ceasefire agreement. Let's listen in.
Ending this war once and for all. Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally thank, we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball's now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
Well, just to add to the Secretary's comments, the Ukrainian delegation today made something very clear, that they share President Trump's vision for peace. They share his determination to end the fighting, to end the killing, to end the tragic kind of meat grinder of people and national treasure that's happening on the front in Ukraine. Number one. Number two, they made concrete steps and concrete proposals, not only accepting our proposal for a full ceasefire, which you can see the details of which are in our joint statement that we released together, but we also got into substantive details on how this war is going to permanently end. What type of guarantees they're going to have for their long-term security and prosperity, but also really looking at what it's going to take to finally end this, the horrific fighting. The other piece that I just want to make very clear is President Trump started this diplomatic effort in the Oval Office, talking to both leaders, both President Putin and President Zelenskyy back to back. And now that shuttle diplomacy continues. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Russian side. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Ukrainian side. I will talk to my Russian counterpart in the coming days. Secretary Rubio will be with G7 foreign ministers in the next couple of days. We have the NATO Secretary General in the White House on Thursday, and we'll take the process forward from there. So, as a result of that, and I think as a result of this positive step forward, the president has decided to lift the pause on aid and on our security assistance to Ukraine going forward. And that's effective immediately.
All right, your colleagues have chosen 3 questioners. Let's start with Alex Marquardt of CNN.
Thank you. Several questions on the ceasefire. We understood that coming into this was a Ukrainian proposal for a partial ceasefire. How did this become an American proposal for an immediate 30-day ceasefire? And to be clear, you're talking about a complete ceasefire across the front line, not just the aerial and maritime ceasefire that the Ukrainians proposed. And then finally, how do you expect to take this to the Russians? Is it Mr. Witkoff, who we understand is heading to Moscow later this week? Will he deliver that to Putin? Will it be President Trump to President Putin? Will it be you and your counterparts? How will that actually happen and when?
Well, on the first point, your question is yes. That's the offer. The offer is to stop the shooting. The goal here is, the only way out to end this war is to negotiate out of it. There's no military solution to this war. The solution to this war and the way to end it and to achieve the president's objective of peace is to negotiate. But before you can negotiate, you have to stop shooting at each other. And that's what the president has wanted to see, and that's the commitment we got today from the Ukrainian side, their willingness to do that. Obviously now that'll be delivered to the Russians. It'll be delivered to them directly through multiple channels, meaning not only will they obviously see it, but it'll be communicated to them through our diplomatic channels, through conversations and other methods, but they'll obviously be well aware. And our hope is that the Russians will say yes, that they will also agree. So the shooting will stop, the killing will stop, the dying will stop, and the talks can begin about how to end this war permanently in a way that's acceptable and enduring for both sides.
Look, there's been all kinds of discussions in terms of different types of ceasefires. You know, there was the deal in terms of grain moving years ago. There's been discussion of halting aerial attacks on each other's infrastructure. The president has made it clear and certainly made it clear to us that all fighting needs to stop. And the Ukrainians have agreed.
You have been listening to a news conference with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. They say that the U.S. and Ukraine have come to a decision on a ceasefire deal lasting 30 days. We will be right back with more on this breaking news. Breaking news now, the U.S. and Ukraine have apparently reached a ceasefire agreement amid peace talks in Saudi Arabia. I'm Scripps News correspondent Alex Miller, and this is On the Scene. We just saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio announce that ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. For more on this, let's bring in international correspondent Jason Bellini. Jason, can you tell us about the big takeaways from what Rubio announced?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is, one, this is a huge surprise. Going into this, the Secretary of State said that he was basically taking the temperature of the Ukrainians. How much were they willing to compromise? There was no foreshadowing of something as major as this, which is a proposal, as you said, for an interim 30-day ceasefire. And this is subject to the acceptance of the Russian Federation. You had him say that the United States is going to communicate to Russia that Russian reciprocity is key to achieving peace. So this is the big test right now. Will Russia respond to this affirmatively, cooperatively? Because what we've heard from the Ukrainians up to this point is that they don't trust the Russians, and they don't think that the Russians really do want peace. Now, a ceasefire, that would be a major deal, and there are provisions within this for extending it, for continuing this beyond those 30 days should Russia agree to it. What are the particulars? It doesn't sound like, from what we've heard so far, too many specifications on the most thorny issues at stake here that may take a long time to resolve, but it sounds like the idea is buy some time, have a ceasefire, and then be able to work out some of those details. One other thing we learned, a major takeaway, United States will immediately lift the pause on intelligence sharing and resume security assistance to Ukraine, Alex. So major deal what's happening right now.
And that would obviously be a big help to Ukraine, just putting the ball now in Russia's court. I'm sure we will come back to you as this continues to develop. Jason Bellini, thank you.